There we go then, shipmates. Jolly boasting weather, it's far too rough to sail. So fill me pipe pot up, me boys, I'll tell ya many's a tale. I've sailed this North Sea over and under too, I swear. From Boston up to Walberswick, and I've met some rum folk there. I'm a rare rip-roaring sailor, a Norfolk lad withal. On land or sea, you must agree, I can boast the best of all.
He's a rare rip-roaring sailor, a Norfolk lad withal. But on land or sea, you must agree, can boast the best of all.
I've been marooned and purple too on tropic scrooby sands. I've been lost in the wash, me boys, though all around was land. Been belayed on Braden water till I just got up in the road. And I've made some bold excursions on exotic Suffolk broads. I'm a rare rip-roaring sailor, a Norfolk lad withal. On land or sea, you must agree, I can boast the best of all.
He's a rare rip-roaring sailor, a Norfolk lad withal. But on land or sea, you must agree, can boast the best of all.
I've lost an arm at Acle and an earring at East Winch. I even had me rigging caught on Potter Iron Bridge. I've weathered storms off Winterton with the dreaded Mal de Mer. But I just threw him overboard and I left the bugger there. I'm a rare rip-roaring sailor, a Norfolk lad withal. On land or sea, you must agree, I can boast the best of all.
He's a rare rip-roaring sailor, a Norfolk lad withal. But on land or sea, you must agree, can boast the best of all.
I've sailed on yawls and wherries and in a jolly boat. And I once put out from Clyde with the most miserable man afloat. I've been repelled by boarders and put off by paying guests. And I've seen a sailor's hornpipe, but I wasn't much impressed. I'm a rare rip-roaring sailor, a Norfolk lad withal. On land or sea, you must agree, I can boast the best of all.
He's a rare rip-roaring sailor, a Norfolk lad withal. But on land or sea, you must agree, can boast the best of all.
You think my story's much too tall, I see it in your eyes. But if you say that isn't true, I'll tell you that's all lies. But even if I told the truth till I'm cold upon the slab, who'd believe I'd end up fighting for a load of lousy crabs? I'm a rare rip-roaring sailor, a Norfolk lad withal. On land or sea, you must agree, I can boast the best of all.
He's boasted of his doings, but he must hold his tongue. Oh, now I need his truth indeed, till his war is lost for one.
You see, because of the Crab War's weather, they couldn't always put to sea. So that was a song sung by the boatswain.
Hold you hard a minute now. You now told me that Bo didn't have a son.
Well, that just goes to show how much you know.
Well, you know what you told me.
Well, they are then. Anyhow, the thing is, the boatswain is really a boatswain.
Oh, I see. He's in disguise.
No, that mean he loved boats.
Oh.
Of course, they were proper boats in them days. Not like these here newfangled things with motors and navigational aids.
Oh, boy, don't ever catch that.
They had to either sail or be rowed. Of course, being crab boats, they went sideways to what you'd normally expect. So they had two great old oars sticking out of the gunnels, which were sort of pointed.
You shouldn't ever point no sort of a gun, should you?
Hold your row. Anyhow, in order to row these boats, you had to have different sized blokes on the oars. Special tall blokes at one end, special middle-sized blokes in the middle, and special short blokes on the outside.
On the outside?
Yes, they used to breed them special.
Oh, you don't expect me to believe that, do you?
I do, because that's true.
No.
Now, if you go to Cromer or Sheringham to this very day...
Thursday?
That's right, yes. If you go to Cromer or Sheringham this very Thursday, you can still see tall blokes, medium-sized blokes and short blokes. So that just prove it.
Yeah, well, never mind all that. What was happening in the war?
Oh, well, not a lot, really. What with all the bad weather and that, they didn't have no real battles. Only little skirmishes.
Yeah, but who was winning?
Well, Cromer was, I suppose. You see, Admiral Bow, he weren't all that good at the fighting.
No.
He knew all the theoreticals and that, but not much of the practicals. He was known as the well-read Admiral,
Oh.
because everything he knew come out of books.
That's what I always say.
What?
Well, you know, I always say it.
Well, say it again then.
What?
What you always say.
Oh, well, what I always say is that no good ever come out of reading books. Yeah, I read that somewhere.
That's right. And Bo was no good at sailing.
Well, there you are, then. I said it before.
Well, don't say it again then. But now, in the story, they were just coming up to the first memorable battle of the war.
Oh, of the war.
I forget all about it now, but I remember that was memorable. The vicar could tell you, but I think he's up at this village hall do. Anyhow, as I was saying...
Aren't you finding all this talking rather thirsty work, Father?
Oh, well, I am rather.
Why don't you stop then?
In the year of 1687 or 8, two mighty warlike fleets upon the ocean they did meet. The story of their battle is a saga most compelling, but nothing at all to do with the tale that I am telling. For when the Cromer and Sheringham fleets they drew up for to fight, there were only 40 crab boats, not such a glorious sight, not such a glorious sight. But I am forced to tell, as the fear ran through those sailor boys, it was a glorious smell. Then Benbow he stood up, as on the ocean they were tossed. He addressed his gallant sailors, in case they should get lost. We're fighting not for country, or king or commonwealth. No, this is more important, 'cause we're fighting for ourselves. Meanwhile, great Captain Upspoke was delivering an oration, but just got back in time to predict a celebration. We'll all go down in history for the way that we do fight. And since I'm singing this to you, you can see that he was right. The two fleets now drew up in an improper formation. They circled one another, each boat keeping to its station. Upspoke waited for the moment when Benbow turned his back. Now trumpet, blow retreat, he cried, but trumpet sucked attack. And then Benbow's drummer, he beat Ed on the drum. Now Ed, he didn't like that, but decided to keep mum. His mum beat the drummer, she gave him such a thwack that the crew mistook the signal and quickly changed their tack. Now Upspoke saw this change and he thought they were retreating. But as they hadn't advanced yet, then clearly they were cheating. I've never seen the like in all my years of foam. And if they aren't playing by the rules, then I am going home.
So there you are.
Well, I've been here all the time.
No, I mean, there you are in the story.
Am I? Fancy that.
Fancy what?
Another pint?
Oh, well, I don't mind if I do.
Oh, I suppose you do mind if you don't.
Well, if you don't mind. Anyhow, the next thing was, the parson of Sheringham, he decided that it was time to stand up and be counted.
Be counted.
Yeah, of course, there was only one of him, so he had to speak out against the war himself.
Oh, right.
Mind you, hardly anyone listened, because they was all off fighting at the time.
I am an ancient parson, long have I worn the frock, who knows the ways of sheep and goats like the crook that guides the flock. This war is proving ruinous, as I will now disclose. No good will come of strife like this, be sure the parson knows.
Oh yes, the parson knows. Oh yes, the parson knows. Be sure the parson knows.
My church is racked with ruin, where it once was strong and proud. My living it is paltry, where I once was well endowed. My glass is old and stained now, my chalice underflows. My screens grew ever ruder, hard times the parson knows.
Oh yes, the parson knows. Oh yes, the parson knows. Hard times the parson knows.
At arguing and fighting the people may be handy, but they're neglecting other things like smuggling my brandy. Where once I dined on capons and chickens as I chose, now all I get is odds and ends. Oh yes, the parson's knows.
Oh yes, the parson knows. Oh yes, the parson knows. Oh yes, the parson's knows.
So I beg all you people, I implore you, sue for peace, and Catherine for plenty, and Rebecca for release. Fire and brimstone and black treacle be upon you and your foes. Though you all say yes to this war, your suffering parson knows.
Oh yes, the parson knows. Oh yes, the parson knows.
Your suffering parson knows.
The battle was raging and so were the crew. Good Lord, I cried out, now what shall we do? For I fear that our men in the drink will all drown. In that case, said the boatswain, make mine mild and brown. Square up your foresails, let your mainsails be bent. But nobody really knew quite what that meant. So instead we just drifted along with the tide, till the cold coast of Sheringham appeared on the foreside. And it's so I'm all washed up on the shore, and I never shall see Cromer Town no more. Hemmed in twixt the Sheringham fleet and the beach, and the rest of our boats drifted far from our reach. Yes, the rest of our fleet from our ship they had spared. I think it was possibly something we said. The captain said, Romeo, if you'd be wise, don't shoot till you can see the whites of their eyes. Yes, the whites of their eyes, he repeated again, but their eyes were all bloodshot. I waited in vain, and it's so I'm all washed up on the shore, and I never shall see Cromer Town no more. The captain cried, said to me, jolly brave lads, but we just said one, for that's all we had. The cannon they boomed and the captain he roared. The boom it did cannon knocked me overboard. Now on the Sheringham shore I do lie, with the waves breaking o'er me and the sad seagulls cry. Yes, the cry of the seagull full of sorrow and woe. But what's he got to cry about, I'd like to know. And it's so I'm all washed up on the shore, and I never shall see Cromer Town no more.
So you see, Romeo ended up laying on the strand.
On the strand? That must have been dangerous, what with all the traffic. Still, I suppose Captain Upspoke looked after him since he was already there.
Oh, hold your row. Now, according to legend, Romeo was washed ashore with 3 of his mates. and Sherry had found them underneath their upturned boot on the beach.
On the beach?
Of course, when she saw the 8 legs sticking out, she thought that was the legendary giant crab of Scrooby Sands, what was supposed to come ashore and have its way with young maidens.
Oh, what way was that then? I suppose 4 legs over are better than 1, eh?
Was that as filthy as I thought it was?
I don't know how filthy you can think. What come next?
Well, Sherry took him back to her closet.
Oh, and what happened to the other blokes then, the other 3?
Oh, they weren't real. They was only according to legend.
Oh, very convenient.
Oh, speaking of which...
Oh, all right, I'll come with you.
'Twas on Sheringham shore that I espied a creature, a being what is more, of full and noble feature. Oh, what a brave old world that has such creatures in it. If he's alive, then I'll revive him. It'll only take a minute. Is it the giant crab who lives on Scrooby Sands and seduces any maiden fair who in his lair should land? Oh, let it be that crab, that wonderful crustacean, whose tender claws can fill a maiden's heart with palpitation. Oh, that he should carry me away, away to Scrooby, and there that we should marry, and ne'er more filled with woe be. For when I am his mate, I'll live just like a princess, and happily await the bitter pat of tiny pincers. But no, this is no crab, 'twas but a maiden's fancy. The vision flies before my eyes. Behold, I can a man see, but a man from Cromer town, and yet he is so fair that Cupid's dart has pierced my heart right through my underwear. So be he friend or foe, how can I love my enemy? But how can I hate a man so fair? Caught in a cruel dilemma me, my father will be angry if he do come to know. Cruel fate that Cupid's arrow strikes the door